It's recording.
So here's something I'd like to read you about a more modern day scientist. Gilbert Plass wrote this in American Scientist in August 1953, before the climate wars and all the political brouhaha. He pointed out that the discharge of carbon dioxide from burning of about 2 billion tons of coal and oil yearly augments a blanket of gas around the world, which is raising the temperature in the same manner glass heats a greenhouse. I don't know if he was the first one to call it a greenhouse effect and to call these gases greenhouse gases, but turns out he was right. Well, a lot of people disputed the notion. By 2080, he predicted in 1953, he predicted the air's carbon dioxide content will double, resulting in an average temperature rise of at least 4%. If most of man's industrial growth were over a period of several thousand years, instead of being crowded within the last century, oceans would have absorbed most of the excess carbon dioxide. But because of the slow circulation of the seas, they have had little effect in reducing the amount of the gas, as man's smoke-making abilities have multiplied over the past 100 years. It's our smoke-making abilities that are really getting us into trouble. So, kids, don't smoke. And seriously, don't burn fossil fuels if you don't have to. Look at the sort of stuff that gets into the air. I mean, even water vapor can serve as a climate warming gas. Fossil fuels are the fuels that we burn, like oil and coal, that were made from living matter that got trapped under high pressure underground, your plants, your dinosaurs, your fishes, whatever. Eventually, people say we're going to run out of them, but it seems like we keep finding more and more, and then we start fracking, and we can find more and more. So the problems they cause keep growing more and more. Historically, this is the increase in global energy consumption that we've had. So the line, vertical line up and down, that's now 2010 or so, 2012. Looks fine until you add in India and China. Look at that. Seriously. That's a lot of energy consumption, and that's a lot of climate warming gas if we can't get those countries to use green fuels that don't involve climate warming emissions. So, let's see if the slide will advance. And it does advance. One more time. The ups and downs of the concentration of carbon dioxide. You get an ice age pretty much every time it goes way down, and when it comes to around where it is now, you get a nice place to live for humans. And there at the bottom, you're seeing that the temperature pretty much tracks the concentration of carbon dioxide. This is in a scale of 800,000 years to about just before now. But if you add it, this is just before the Industrial Revolution. Now here's the Industrial Revolution. Oh, sorry. First of all, let me show you what causes these changes in temperature, which are associated with the carbon dioxide changes. It's that the Earth's orbit isn't regular. The Earth sort of wobbles on its axis. It doesn't just turn nice and neatly. The orbit stretches and contracts kind of like a rubber band. And these are processes that are on the order of hundreds of thousands of years, or 20,000, 41,000 years, that all play into the natural cycles. But now we'll show you what happens when you move beyond the natural cycles. Look at that. The level of carbon dioxide is going way up, and we know the temperature will follow. That was just a while ago. Now, this is the projection. After 40 more years of the current rate of increase, it will go way up there. Now, if you saw Al Gore give his slideshow in the movie An Inconvenient Truth, he had to get up on a lift to follow that line. And he did. It's a very dramatic effect. But it's a dangerous effect, so we don't do that anymore. You can fall. He might have actually fallen off one time. All right.
You can stand on my shoulders if you like.
You can stand on your shoulders. All right, so the red is warmer than average days, and then this is in the blue is colder than average days. We're going to show you extreme temperature events over time. Usually, most of the time it's in the middle, and then there's some deviation. In 1981, 91, you start getting a bunch more hot days, and then you get some of these extremely hot days. showing up. In the next decade, 91 to 2001, you get a lot more hot days. And the latest decade here, look at this, about 10% of the temperature days worldwide are considered extremely hot from average. Look at that. The extreme temperature events used to cover 0.1% of the Earth. Now they cover 10% of the Earth. That's just crazy. Weather catastrophes, I'm not showing you all sorts of what I would call disaster porn. That is really heart-wrenching. The videos of fires and floods and not earthquakes, but fires and floods and tsunamis and tornadoes and what have you associated with severe weather. But I'll just show you the cold numbers here. It's going up. We have more meteorological events, more floods, water events, hydrological events, and just climate events, including extreme temperature, that cause both drought and forest fires. Nothing to really laugh at, I'm afraid. The only plausible explanation for the rise in weather-related catastrophe is climate change. Who said that? This is an insurer, one of the two largest reinsurance companies in the world. That's what it reads, Munich Re. Who says, what keeps us up at night is climate change. We see the long-term effect of climate change in society that really frightens us. The other largest insurance company in the world. Insurers know that they'd have to pay a lot if they're going to be insuring people against natural disasters. So here are just 10 indicators of a human fingerprint like climate change. More things, including the shrinking the thermosphere, I didn't get into that. Rising tropopause, actual just changes in the structure of the upper atmosphere, but there's less oxygen in the air, less heat escaping to space, cooling stratosphere, and more fossil fuel carbon in the air, which is resulting in more heat returning to Earth, and nights are warming faster than days, curiously enough. And there's more fossil fuel carbon showing up in the coral that we see growing undersea. And that's, like I said, partly because a lot of carbon dioxide is being absorbed by the seas. So here we are back to the seas, and that's the end of this